Seung Sarat survived several bloody Cambodian regimes and civil wars, but only when his country was at peace was he shot and lost a leg. The indigenous Topaman, now living in a borrowed home in the forests of Ratanakiri province, says he lost his right leg in 2009 because of a land conflict with a private economic land concessionaire.
When I stood up to protest, they said they had already given the land to the company, so that's why the company ordered their soldiers to shoot me.
He was among a group of indigenous people resisting forced evictions from their land. They say they have been living and planting cashew nuts on their land for years before the company arrived. His struggle, like so many others, was unsuccessful. After losing his land and his leg, he began seeking help from non-governmental organizations and filing complaints with the provincial court. But he said his case has not been processed. Local rights groups say the government's policy of economic land concessions, or ELC, has not improved life for indigenous communities. Instead, it has made it worse. But Lê Thien Lam disagrees. Lam is a branch manager of Hong An Zai Lê, a Vietnamese company which has received tens of thousands of hectares of land concessions from the Cambodian government. He says his company has never encroached on any indigenous community's land, even though the firm was granted a concession size far beyond the legal limit of 10,000 hectares per company.
Some farmlands of villagers did not appear on our map, but when we came physically, we saw some existing farmlands. However, we have informed the local authorities about it, and if the land belongs to the villagers, we keep it for them.
The Ratanakiri provincial governor could not be reached for comment, despite several attempts by VOA. But the provincial head of the Environment Department, Chu Sopik, said granting land concessions to private companies would not cause indigenous people to lose all their land.
In general, I can say that the government's policy won't go to the extent that our people have no land. That won't happen. The government policy is, if people's land fall into concession, the government will take it back to the people.
Recently, the government canceled and took back some land concessions from private companies and announced it would continue to do so. Seung Sarat, however, says he does not expect to get his land back.
If the government really wants to reform their policy so that the people will not suffer from hunger or lose their indigenous culture, they need to distribute the land to both the company and the people.
A recent report by Global Witness says about 2.5 million hectares of land, or about 70% of Cambodia's arable land, had been leased to more than 270 private companies by late 2013. The report adds the land concessions have disproportionately affected forested areas where the indigenous people live. For Mony in Ratanakiri province, I'm Colin Lovett, VOA News.